Welcome to PGTV News. I'm Stephen Barnes.
And I'm Tina Mann. A county judge, 2 prosecutors, and a Bartow lawyer are among the 6 nominees under consideration to replace Circuit Judge William Bruce Smith, who's retiring July 31st. The Judicial Nominating Commission for the 3-county 10th Judicial Circuit has recommended the following candidates: Gregory K. Atkinson, a general magistrate for the 10th Judicial Circuit; Assistant State Attorney Heather Baytu; Assistant State Attorney Harold V. Bennett III; Polk County Judge Mary Catherine Green; Kevin M. Cole, a lawyer with Boswell and Dunlap in Bartow; and lastly, Jennifer Stemuel, a senior trial clerk for the 10th Judicial Circuit. The commission selected the nominees Tuesday following interviews with 16 applicants for the judgeship. Governor Ron DeSantis now has 60 days to select a new judge from among the nominees or direct the commission to submit a new slate of nominees. The new circuit judge who fills the vacancy will serve until 2021, at which time the appointed judge will have the option to seek election to a 6-year term. To seek a circuit judge post, candidates must be registered voters, live in the circuit they would serve, and be a member of the Florida Bar for at least 5 years. The 10th Judicial Circuit includes Polk, Highlands, and Hardee counties. Circuit judges preside over legal matters including felony criminal cases, civil lawsuits for more than $30,000, and family law cases including divorce and child dependency. They are paid $160,688 annually.
It's an important job.
It is an important job. And over the last couple of years, we've seen quite a few judges retire that have been there for a really long time.
Well, and of course, as governor, that's one of their biggest responsibilities is to make sure that those, judge seats are filled and they elect judges that are going to serve the state and their circuits well.
Well, good luck to all the nominees.
Yeah. Well, the coronavirus shut down state university campuses in March. As a result, at least 2 potential class action lawsuits have been filed seeking refunds of money that students paid for the spring semester. A federal lawsuit filed against the University of Florida's Board of Trustees alleges that spring UF students are entitled to reimbursement of tuition and fees because they were forced to take classes online for part of the semester. That came a week after a UF graduate student filed a lawsuit contending that he and students from throughout the broader university system should receive refunds of fees. Universities shifted to online learning after campuses were closed in March to try to prevent the spread of COVID-19, the respiratory disease caused by the coronavirus. The situation forced massive changes for students, faculty members, and administrators, with plans for on-campus instruction in the fall semester still uncertain. UF quickly made plans to issue prorated refunds of housing and dining payments, but the lawsuits contend that UF and the broader university system should have gone further in refunding money. The first lawsuit was filed against the State University System's Board of Governors and seeks refunds of prorated amounts of technology fees, activity fees, and service fees, as well as athletic fees and transportation fees. The lawsuit states that the FBOG, or the Florida Board of Governors, decision to transition to online classes and to request and to encourage students to leave campus were responsible decisions to make, but it is unfair and unlawful for FBOG to retain fees and to pass the losses on to the students and their families. It's a kind of a sticky situation.
It is.
Obviously they're still providing those educational services, whether the students choose to use them or not. So those teachers are still working and still getting paid with those fees.
And I would assume that those technology fees would have probably, increased 7-fold because of the requirement to go distance. So
the infrastructure
I'm kind of 2 minds here. I mean, some of them make sense a little bit, like athletic fees, but others not so much. But if it balances out, I mean, they're still getting their degree, they're still getting their education. So
you want to see what's best for the student. You want to see them get what's best for the students, but also realizing that the universities also have a business to run that require funding. I mean, schools are already expensive enough. If you start to take the money that they use to operate away from, they're going to get even more expensive for these types of lawsuits. So we'll see how it shakes out.
As we said a few weeks ago, Polk County seniors will have an in-person graduation. Now we know when and where.
I'm excited to share with you that thanks to our great partners at Detroit Tigers and the City of Lakeland, we will be able to give you a ceremony, and it's going to be bigger than you could have ever imagined. You're going to graduate at Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium.
The graduations will take place between June 6th and 20th at Tigertown. District officials said the Florida Department of Health is being consulted as they plan the ceremonies. The graduations will start Saturday, June 6th with Lake Gibson High School and end on Saturday, June 20th with Ridge and Travis Technical Colleges. The times of the ceremonies have yet to be determined, but they will last approximately 1 hour. Tickets are being limited to 4 per graduate. The seats will be assigned in order to ensure social distancing between families. Ceremonies will be live streamed on the school district's YouTube channel for those unable to attend in person. Caps and gowns are being distributed via drive-through at each school. District officials said there will be no rehearsals of the ceremony. Each graduate will have their name called and will cross the field to home plate to have their photograph taken with their principal. Each graduate will also appear on the stadium's Jumbotron. Health precautions for graduates, their guests, and school district staff include temperature checks for all individuals entering the stadium. Anyone running a fever, including graduates, will not be allowed to attend or participate. Face masks will be worn by everyone, including graduates, and everyone will be sitting or standing 6 feet apart during the ceremony. The only speeches given at each ceremony will be valedictorians and salutatorians, and each will be limited to 3 minutes. When 2 schools graduate together, the speeches will be limited to 1.5 minutes each. For specific dates and the most current information, visit polkschoolsfl.com/graduation.
This is a good happy medium here. I was wondering how they were going to do the graduations. You know, we talked about virtually or whatever, but Tigertown's a pretty good idea, having it at the ball field there. It
is. I'm wondering if they're going to let the graduates take the masks off for the picture with their principal. That would be an interesting way to commemorate.
Well, and of course, there's always the weather too, because you're looking at June. Yeah, and the rainy season here in Florida. So hopefully, let's cross our fingers. The week of June 6th through the 20th is going to be good weather. A couple of weeks ago, we told you about Lakeland Fire Department's new hires, and now they've started training. Take a look at this.
So everything that we do inside of our new hire orientation is to train them commensurate to duty. In other words, be ready for that emergency call day one when they're on shift. So this year in particular, we have a group of 5. They'll go through a 3-week orientation, which will include all of the NFPA 1001 skills, and then those are the fundamentals, which they go to a state certified fire training center, and then we mold them into doing things the way that we do business in accordance with our policies, procedures, and protocols, and also to match up with the different equipment that we might have to where their academy did not have. So to bring them all the way up to speed, up and running day one. This year is different in the terms of we do not necessarily have a training center. We have a training site which is under construction and hopefully will be done end of calendar year 2020. So we had to utilize different buildings and facilities and situations for scenarios that are throughout the city. And this one in particular is a fantastic facility to do impromptu training, and it's the RP Funding Center. And we're very thankful to the men and women that work here, and also the city for allowing us to do this. But it is a great scenario for large area searches, which would simulate searching large warehouses and industrial complexes, which we have a lot of here in the city of Lakeland.
pretty interesting footage there. Some good training going on.
Well, as somebody who has gotten a chance of just a taste of the training, I've been in
that's
full
right.
gear,
Yep.
dragging people out of buildings and holding the fire hose, and I even got to use the jaws of life, which is incredibly cool but very heavy. They go through a lot.
Yeah.
They go through a lot.
Yeah, just understanding how much stamina it takes to get through that stuff. But I thought one of the interesting things in that video was, they were talking about that each fire department may have different types of equipment, or the equipment might function differently. So it's important that even out of the academy that they go through training with the fire department to get up to speed on their specific equipment. So that's pretty neat.
That makes a lot of sense, because we have a lot of mutual agreements with all the different fire agencies around the county, because it saves money when you may not always need a super high rescue truck, or you may not always need a tender truck, but it's great to be able to call on those when you can.
It's good to see some new recruits into our fire department.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
The U.S. Department of Health Resources and Services Administration has just distributed more than $2.5 million to a local healthcare institution. Central Florida Healthcare, Inc. received $2.6 million in grants from the HRSA. Officials with Central Florida Healthcare say the money will be used to buy COVID-19 tests, supplies, and protective equipment, as well as secure staff when necessary to help with the testing. This testing will be made available in Polk, Highlands, and Hardee counties. The CFHC Mobile Testing Unit has been active in Polk County, visiting communities in Haines City and Lake Wales. Future test sites include Mulberry, Lake Alfred, and Auburndale. Wherever the mobile unit travels, the CFHC has offered education on social distancing, hand washing, and other ways to prevent the spread of the novel coronavirus.
More testing sites, more testing locations. This is good news.
It is good news, because the more we know, the better able we are to really judge the current status of everything.
And I also noticed that Polk County's daily coronavirus updates on social media has now included the number of tests being done in addition to the number of positive cases. So you can actually see how those bulk testing is affecting the number of positive cases.
And of course, people can go to the Department of Health website, to their viewer, which updates every day and has even more information.
Nonprofits in Polk County are continuing to step up to help with food during this pandemic. Lighthouse Ministries and One More Child partnered with Farm Share, a nonprofit food distributor, to give away more than 105,000 pounds of food to recipients in over 2,300 vehicles at 5 drive-through locations. They were hoping to provide at least one meal for 10,000 people. Organizers said more than 105,000 pounds of food was distributed. The group stacked 500 boxes of food inside the church in preparation for Thursday's giveaway. 90 minutes into the distribution, more than half had been distributed.
That's a lot of
That's
food.
incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, what a terrific effort, but just how quickly that food was dispersed, and it just shows the need that is out there right now. I mean, sure, everybody wants to get free food if they can, but there's a real serious need in some of our neighborhoods here in Polk County, and it's good to see organizations stepping up to meet the need.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching PGTV News. The board review is coming up, but first, a 6-year-old comes up with an idea to bring smiles to the faces of his neighbors in quarantine with ice cream. Take a look.
Now I want to break out into a little song. Namaste, namaste, the God in me worships and honors. You know, I grew up in my mother's house. My mother, she was ahead of her time. At one point, we had an office in our home. So I saw a sea of humanity coming through. She never spoke disparagingly about anyone, and she never treated anyone any differently. So I carry that with me, but I just love people. They're interesting. There's a whole great variance of diversity that's present in the military. Chaplains really lead out with spiritual readiness for the fight of life, if you will, to stay strong in the struggle. I help people stay strong, spiritually fit. For me personally, it's empowering. Whoever I encounter. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. So if they never walk into a worship setting or worship center, they see me in the hall. Hopefully they'll be reminded that to stay strong and fit in the fight with spiritual readiness. I try to empower people in all of those spaces, whether it's sharing communication tools or whether it's singing a song. I want you to leave the space that I'm in empowered to grow, empowered to serve. You sign the dotted line to protect and serve this nation, and I'm here for you to do it well. Whatever it is that causes you to live and grow and become more of the person you were created to be, just be aware that you have a spiritual muscle and that it needs to be flexed. I think Buddhists say namaste. The God in me worships and honors the God in you. Namaste, namaste. The God in me worships and honors the God in you.